Hello, good morning, investor and corporate. Welcome to SET Digital Roadshow first quarter 2022 performance review. This section will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. Company will start the section by 30-minute presentation, followed by 15-minute Q&A. And during Q&A, investor may leave your question in meeting room chat box or use raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. So may I now invite NIRVANA DAII Public Company Limited to start the presentation, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And good morning to everyone in the webcast at the moment. NIRVANA DAII came back to basically report the first quarter results, and probably we could discuss a little bit more into the year to come, particularly in the second quarter. My name is Jerry. As usual, I represent NIRVANA DAII in discussing what happened in the first quarter and the year to come. Okay, without further ado, let me share the screen. I hope everyone see the slideshow in the slideshow mode. If not, please let me know. This is basically a summary of what happened in the first quarter. We continue to do what we call balance sheet reform activities, and the outcome and the result turned out quite positive. I mean, it reflects in the numbers and in terms of efficiency improvement and leverage, which is coming down to a very comfortable level, I should say. Operationally, the walks took a dive a little bit following, if we all remember, the Omicron variant outbreak. The inflation starting from the very early of the year, and in February the geopolitical tension break out in Eastern Europe. So these are all very negative circumstances that surrounding our operation. Despite that, conversion rate, we were able to attract and clinch some bookings a little bit more efficiently, I guess. So the conversion rate went up. The condominium segment rebound a little bit. So we were able to replenish the backlog quite healthily. Coupling with that with the land transaction, which is part of the balance sheet reform activities, we able to record quite a healthy results in the first quarter. On the financial side, the bullet seems probably to some of you may not be that self-explanatory. We'll go into detail in the subsequent slides. In terms of outlook, as I mentioned, the strong pre-sale replenished the backlog, so we're quite healthy in terms of backlog. We would continue to try and transfer those pre-sales, recognize that into the revenue. The outlook for the second quarter, outlook second and the second part of the year, we what you call it, I guess life has to move on. We rebuilding, but the challenges which we have outlined earlier would have to be very cautious still. Let's start with this slide. We still very much into the same strategic direction of what we have spelled out last year. For the I think it would be the third year of COVID already. We continue to improve in the efficiencies aspect. What we mean by that is apart from product improvement and other opportunities exploration, we focus on efficiency. And what we did in the first quarter was that we basically trade one piece of land, about 23 rights in one of our most valuable land banks, for another. The proceed of that we use to buy land in I would say area that we could probably help build backlog a little bit healthier. The the great thing about buying land in bulk is that we can manage, we can put in products across the full spectrum. But the downside of it is that the timing would have to be very consequential. Otherwise, one project could cannibalize one another. So if we stick with the township development approach or strategic move, we doesn't really have to do that all by ourselves. It's probably better to really have our peer property developer to come in and help build the area together. So that's exactly what we did. We sold 23 rights to another developer to help us incubate, I should say, this whole area. COVID has dragged Kuntep Grita area for at least 2 years, very obvious. While the potential for this road is still there very strongly. If any of you have ever come to Bangkok, show you what it's like. That the potential of it could be another similar road, which is very nearby to our office here, has gone up in value. I should say more than about how many times? 10 times higher in terms of value of land cost. So we sitting on a very strong high potential land bank, and we need to develop that. So the key message is we develop that not all by ourselves, but we'll leverage on our peer as well. But on the back of that, you can see on the bottom right corner, this is basically interest-bearing debt to equity ratio. You can see it's coming down, and in the current situation where everything working against us, having DE of 1.06 is probably not a bad idea. Stay safe, moving very cautiously forward. Okay, this explains a little bit more into detail of what I just discussed earlier. This shaded the stripe area at the very bottom corner of what we call internally as E5 was sold to another developer. Now the proceed of that we would spread across our portfolio, not only acquiring land in this area but also expanding one of our best selling project in the Vang Na area. So that would help quite a bit in a near to medium term in terms of replenishing backlog. We in the process of signing the land acquisition contract in this area, and as well as other, as I mentioned. Operationally, as outlined at the beginning, you can see that the walk, which is basically potential customers that walk in for the entire portfolio, took a dip a little bit. It came down under 600 walks when we were very scared of fourth wave of COVID in here, still low compared to other quarters. one what you call it, very positive trend for conversion rate that has gone up from 5% to 15% in this quarter. So that means we have done something right in terms of drawing people in, getting them in interested enough to sign to book the units. I guess 15% is quite high compared to industry average of about probably 5%. Okay, I was ahead of myself a little bit, but this is a picture of the first quarter. Inflation, as you all know now, pans out very scarily. The what you call a central banks are trying to that down with slapping rate hike. We just passed through a few nights earlier, seeing the federal bank for a long time, I should say. So I guess for Thailand, we would follow the path. So we I guess luckily we've been prepared enough to reduce down our debt portfolio, as you can see in the earlier slide, to manage the hike in the interest from the interest rate front first. But not only that, the inflation also impact our construction costs, and deeper than that is the labor for the construction. So we're not in a very good situation at the moment, but I don't want to send the message that we need to be all that cautious. Everything seems manageable still. Negative, but we still have many ways to manage. For example, the inventories that we have right now, it was built at the old cost base. So it's an opportunity for those educated customers that can see the opportunities and take the ownership of that now before we have to hike the rate or hike the price to cope with our increasing costs. So still, I don't want to send too much negative signal. We still walking further with a very cautious, that's all. The pre-sale, as you can see, as the outcome of the high conversion rate, you see the pre-sale was quite strong compared to the 8 quarters ahead of it. The mix of the landed and condominium, as I mentioned, condominium was a bit stronger. I guess we were able to actually sign and transfer already in the second quarter a few units at Banyan Tree, which is our high margin condominium products. The last chart right here is the recognition of the revenue from the pre-sale. So as you can see, it's first quarter this year was second highest in this chart. It's actually the third highest in the recent history of our transfer. So that basically thanks to transfer from pre-sales of a very strong backlog, as well as land transaction, which we discussed earlier. Okay, in terms of financials, I might not go too much into detail, but let's discuss a few key items. The top line went up year on year 47%. As I mentioned, is basically and partly with the help of that 23 right land sold. In terms of cost, particular attention, I guess jump right ahead to the margin. We were able to fourth quarter. I don't recommend anyone to pay any attention at it too much, as the first quarter, as we all know, is a quarter that we adjust everything throughout the year from the accounting base. But one notion, I guess, I can mention is that the fourth quarter last year was that we saw one piece of land that was for the condominium segment, which is the right timing that we could develop it in the medium term. So lessen burden in terms of debt. Knows that quarterly, if you look at the quarterly results, entire P&L, you would see sick a little bit for the fluctuation from quarter to quarter. The lifespan of each project is much longer than just 1 quarter or 3 months. It spans over 4 to 5 years. And if we cut every 3 months and scrutinize it, you don't get the big picture. So comparing quarterly year on year, it's still more worthwhile, I guess. In terms of expenses, selling expense went up relative to the revenue. I guess the probably slightly higher due to the expense related to the land transaction, and the admin came down to the normal level. This following, you can see the administrative expense was very high in the fourth quarter, because we finished the I guess overhang that we had throughout the year of the asset for mobile plant in Maldives. It's all complete in the fourth quarter, so it's not gonna drag us in terms of expenses going forward. Financial costs seems up a little bit from the normal level of about 30 million per quarter in the first quarter last year. But it's pretty much in line with the fourth quarter last year. This is basically the accounting issues. When construction of residential project complete, we would be no longer capitalize it into the cost of property development, so it expenses out at the bottom. And also some land plot on Krungthep Grita, due to the fact that maybe the COVID pull us back a little bit in terms of developing those land banks. So we were not able to capitalize those interest as well. So that's why it's expense out at the interest expense financial cost line. In terms of balance sheet, the basically total asset size is about the same, reduced only 4%, which is not that much given the size of the balance sheet. On the positive notes is that we were able to, on the net decrease of inventory. I mean, obviously this particular line, when we finish construction, we would move these particular items from the cost of property development up to the inventory line. So that obviously you can kind of imagine that there would be increase as well as the decrease when or net decrease, which is good, meaning we were able to complete and sell at higher rate than finishing it and not able to transfer. For on the liability side and as well as the equity side, I guess this is what I should say in terms of hidden value partially unlocked. The land bank is in the line that in the cost of property. This particular land bank, I guess right now we can see it in the subsequent. It's on the book at the cost basis. Okay, and so basically we're sitting on asset which is very much higher than the reducing only 23 right in ST5. So this is one thing that what we meant by partially unlocking the value that's hidden in our balance sheet is quite significant. What we mean is that we shuffle, we manage our asset throughout this whole area with one objective, to make this land develop as properly, I would say, as fast as possible. Probably might not be accurate, but well, I'm sorry, 12 billion baht in asset side. Obviously, we cannot do it all by ourselves. So that's why we have all these peers, developers coming in to all together joining force. You can imagine that those marketing dollars or marketing baht that's spent in promoting their own project, combining all together, it would obviously be much stronger than us doing that's our one strategic drive in terms of developing this land. In terms of outlook, numbers on this slide is the backlog column, total about 1.4 billion baht. I think significant part of this already been transferred in the past 2 months in the second quarter. The available for sales, meaning the inventories and the revenue per year. This is pretty much enough for us to move on only by just existing projects. We reduce 23, but we could increase a little bit more. That's how what we mean by development, particularly this one in Ekamai Ramintra. Okay. Let's recap again in terms of new challenges and global new global trend or global challenges. Sit back and be too cautious, otherwise we will not go anywhere. So that's why we decided to move on and schedule for new project launch, about 7 projects this year by the end of the year, and that the total combined value would be about 11 billion baht. While the ongoing project, which we saw in earlier slide, available for sale value is about 10 billion baht. We are progressing, I guess, quite well in the area of partnerships and collaboration. for new businesses as well. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but I think I can kind of outline a little bit more right here on the fact that partly in our own efforts in developing Krungthep Grita Land Bank is that we want to create some sort of retail space, basically to help to contribute as a facilities for all those 7 or 8 projects surrounding it now and into the future in the next say 3 to 5 years. Obviously developing entire land 200 right into residential project would probably I guess you can do that, but with some spicy part of the whole thing as a center of the whole township. We believe that it would help us develop this whole land a little bit better. So don't be surprised that we in the next few months when the board of director approve all this whole thing, we'll come back to you and outline all these the NIRVANA style of retail space. So you can look up forward to that. As well as other new businesses as well. We're exploring other recurring income revenue to help us manage this fluctuation on a quarterly basis, especially of the revenue and earnings. Okay, this is just to basically outline a little bit of the new project, of the 7 new projects we talked about. We have 2 project, one along the Ekamai Ramintra Road, which is the road that I mentioned, I implied earlier. This road is connecting CBD, Bangkok CBD from Ekamai, from Ramanai to the Outer Ring Road. I think not so long ago, this was a very quiet area. We saw a road coming. We saw a highway on top of it, tollway on top of it. Soon after that, along this whole road, the land cost went up. Ekamai Ramintar is a good example of the development potential which we could experience in the Sinakarin Nomgrao area where we have the 200 right land bank. So obviously we would continue. You can see a lot of Krungthep Grita words on this new project. Define Krungthep Grita, we already have 1 project which is coming to the end of it, meaning we have only a few units left in the entire 170 units that we have sold. So we think we need to keep this product on this road as well. So just to recap, NIRVANA Define is 3 to 4 stories high-end townhouse. Starting price is from 8 million baht up to 15 million baht. This is a townhouse, okay? But it's actually, if you go into it, you would feel like it's a single house because the way we design it's almost like living in a 3-story house. So this is basically our entry level. We have this coming up in the 4th quarter, just in time when the prior project complete. You will see 3 new brand, NIRVANA Absolute in Bang Na area, in Ekamai Ramintra as well, and in Krungthep Grita as well. Okay, this is basically we identified this maybe about a year or 2 back that in the product spectrum, we're leaving out one segment. So we developed this new product under new brand to fill that gap. So basically, it's a sub-segment of the Beyond brand, which we already have as a flagship product. Also, 3 stories single house, which I think I talked in the up to bring pictures for you to see, but I think the marketing team might not be happy about that. We jump the gun a little bit, so let's just wait for a minute. Let's take my word for it right now. That is 3 stories single house, which is subsegment to Beyond, but above NIRVANA element. If some of you have already seen. Then we introduced a new brand as well. We in developing the brand, a new brand above Beyond, which we call it internally now as NIRVANA Collection. This would be 50 to 100 million baht single house. We're talking usable space of 800 to 1,000 square meters per unit. So this is expect to be launched in the late 4th quarter this year. And our land bank in Ratana, Tibet, we also starting to develop that. If you remember, we sold 1 plot in Ratana, Tibet Road, which is a smaller plot. We have 2 back then. These 2 pieces of land was get onto our balance sheet through M&A in the past in 2017. So obviously you can see getting this asset through M&A, the cost on our book was quite high. So we liquidated one, we kept one, and now we're gonna start building it. We have to come out to the market with a unique product. The same way NIRVANA has come out to the market with all other products as well. So hopefully we could sneak into Ratana, Tibet area with this new project coming up toward the end of the year. I think that's the end of my slide.
The section has come to an end. So on behalf of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, I would like to thank you, investor and corporate, for joining the conference. We look forward to welcome you all again in the next quarter. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, ครับ
ค่ะขอบคุณ
as well
ค่ะ
as